Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Biokinetic K9. We are live this evening, afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm hoping you're having a fabulous day. We've had this storm of storms this week. I can't believe it. But let me introduce myself. My name is Angela Earn. I'm a certified K9 athlete specialist, and I am the owner and founder of the Biokinetic K9. We are going to be talking about tonight exercises. We all know that our dog is doing some other kind of exercise or no exercises at all, or they're lying on the couch, it's cold outside, or it's really hot in some other areas, oh my word. But why are you doing the exercises? Are they in line with what you want to achieve? So this is quite an interesting question because especially where I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, so it's winter here. And many times, because of the winter, the dogs are more sedentary, they don't do too much exercise, etc. And then going back into training, lots of injuries occur. So for the people that are in the Southern Hemisphere, you guys are coming out of winter. And I know there was a post from a physio that they're seeing a lot of injuries with dogs coming out of winter, and they expect these things. But they also see injuries when people are doing exercises. So I want to find out from you, the exercises that you are doing with your dog, are they in line with what you want to achieve? I know a lot of people, if you're not in sport, or even if you are in sport, then a lot of people will just go and they'll do some cross training, because that's something that at least hopefully it will balance out the dog compared to what they're training in the sport. But what are you doing in your cross training? So let's see, there's some questions you need to ask yourself, and I'd like to go through a few of them just to help you get your mind on track as to what you're doing. So just excuse my setup here. My machine went poof last week, and I'm hoping to get it back either tomorrow on Monday or on Monday, and then we'll be right. So let's get going, let's get cracking. Let's see, are your exercises in line with what you want to achieve? So let's ask ourselves these next few questions. I've got 5 questions that you need to ask yourself. And the first one is it the right exercise? So what I mean by that, when we say, is it the right exercise? We see, if you go and search K9 fitness anywhere on Google or any search engine, you're going to see quite a bit of information. And there's a lot of videos too with regards to how you can exercise your dog, and these are the exercises that you can do. But is it the right exercise for your dog? And a lot of the exercises that I've seen on the internet, etc., some are from really trustworthy sources. These people know what they're talking about. And some are just like, right, we'll just go through those quickly. So you want to first find out, are the videos you're seeing from a trustworthy source? Is the person certified to say what they are saying about the exercise? That's really important, because some are and some are not. And then secondly, is that exercise right for your dog in front of you? And what I mean by that is it right for your dog's age or size, for your dog's structure? Some dogs are structured differently than other dogs, even though it's in a similar breed. If you take a Welsh Corgi or compared to a Mallee, 2 different structures altogether, and you get working dogs. It is a woman that breeds. They look almost like Dachshunds, but they're wire-haired, and they're hunting little dogs. They got these short legs, but they are so tough. Also a working dog, sporting dog, also very different to a Rottweiler, etc. Different structure. So are you taking those structures into account when you perform the exercise? Some dogs have got longer backs than others, and they are still a sport dog. Do you take the structure into consideration? Are you considering the sport that you're doing with your dog? Is it the right exercise for the sport that you're doing? Is it going to help you with your sport? Is it going to promote the performances of your dog in that sport? And then, is it going to promote an injury in your dog? Can your dog actually do it? Is it safe for your dog? That's something that you really have to consider. So If you're looking at all these exercises and you're going to go and search on the internet and you see exercises, are those exercises right for your dog in front of you? That's a big question to ask yourself and to answer too. There's lots of information behind that question that you need to be aware of. Then we are going to be looking at, is your dog strong enough to actually do that exercise? And that's a big question, because I know a lot of people that my dog does the sport, you know how much we train, my dog is strong. And I have seen in my own dogs too, is your dog may be strong for their sport, but are they strong throughout their body? And how can you tell? Do they are they able to hold that exercise in a stable position? Are they able to hold that exercise in a stable position, balanced, and over a certain period of time? There's a big difference between holding an exercise and then versus the repetitions of an exercise, and versus the controlling of that exercise in the movement, throughout the movement. Those are lots of different things that you have to look at. So even if you look at that square stacked stand, and we're not talking about the 3-point stand for a German Shepherd show line dog, we're just talking at a stacked stand when it comes to conditioning. So 4 feet on the ground, box perpendicular, front legs directly perpendicular under the shoulder. Can they hold that position easily for time? So there was a person that did a 30-day stand exercise. And every single day for a month, she just performed the stand exercise and progressed it ever so slightly. And she pointed out all the difficulties her dog was having in holding and controlling that stand, and then working through the various areas and difficulties of the stand. So when you look at an exercise, is your dog strong enough to perform that exercise? And will it promote the sport that your dog needs, promote the sport that your dog is doing? So you are looking at, can your dog perform the exercise in a controlled manner? Are you building the correct, I've got a fluff. Are you building the correct muscles when you perform the exercise? Or is your dog compensating and inadvertently building the wrong muscle through that compensation, and so you're not targeting the muscle you need to target? Just because your dog can do 1 repetition fantastically doesn't mean that he can do 10 repetitions without stopping and holding that form and controlling that form. So when you are seeing a video and the dog is performing an exercise and you say, oh, let me go and try that, and your dog can do 1 or 2, it doesn't mean that your dog is good to go. He can do 1 or 2, but can he do it? And are you able to build up the stamina in the muscle for him to do that at least 10 times? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself, particularly if it's an exercise that is going to help your dog in the sport. So just because your dog can do it 1 or twice doesn't mean your dog can do it. Watch for those things. When it comes to building up that stamina for an exercise, think about when your dog is performing protection work and they have to run those hides and then at least bark for 30 seconds while they're pumping on their front feet. So that is 30 seconds of controlled movement, controlled core work to keep that dog stable while they're barking and using their lungs and using their rib cages and all those muscles that surround the rib cage and the back, and holding the core and the core of the body steady while they're pumping and threatening the helper. So there's a certain stamina element to that exercise. How are you incorporating various stamina exercises for your dog in the sport that he has to do? Then we're going to look at, does it benefit your dog? Does the exercise that you're going to do, is it going to reduce the risk of injury, or is it going to increase the risk of injury? That's really important. Are you doing things on an unstable surface? Is your dog ready for that unstable surface? Or are you doing things on a solid surface or in a restricted surface? Is your dog ready for those restrictions to be placed on his body so that he has to control those muscles? Does the exercise benefit your dog? Is it making your dog better for the sport that he's doing or for the goal that you're trying to achieve? Or are you just doing it for show, for your own ego? Oh, I saw this dog do this exercise. I wonder if mine can do it, and then you're going to give it a try. When it comes to exercises, especially for a sporting dog, the higher up you go in a sport, any sport, the more particular the sport becomes and the more precise your dog has to maneuver in the sport. So even if you just take competition obedience, it's not simply a matter of your dog walking next to you at heel. It's letting your dog walk next to you at heel in a particular stance for a particular duration of time without a leash, and that shoulder may not go further than your knee while the dog is looking at you all the time. So the higher up in a sport you go, the more particular your training becomes. It's exactly the same when it comes to fitness and conditioning exercises for sport. So when you're starting off for sport and your dog hasn't done anything else for fitness and conditioning, if you can do a sit to a stand, that's awesome. But if you are going higher up in sport, then your attention has to be turned to the technical particulars of an exercise. That's really important, that your dog can do an exercise in a particular way to strengthen the various muscles that he needs for the sport that he's doing. So are the exercises that you're doing with your dog, does it benefit your dog in the sport that he's doing or with the goal you are trying to achieve? This is a big one because it stumped me right in the beginning, and this is quite important. Are the exercises you doing random or planned? Are you planning your schedule? Are you planning the exercises you're doing so that it equates to sporting better performance? Or is it, oh, come, let's just go and do something quickly. Let's just get something going. This is really important. With a human person, we are quite remarkable beings because whatever we aim for, we will hit. We will get it. It doesn't matter. So if you are aiming at nothing, you're going to hit that too. So whatever you plan, you aim, you will achieve. So when it comes to canine fitness and conditioning exercises to promote your sport, do you have a plan? If you don't have a plan, if you don't have a goal, if you're not aiming at anything and you're just doing something, oh, it's okay, let's just do it like this, then that's exactly what you are going to hit to. Something like this. It's not targeted for your sport. And you're going to be wondering, but I'm doing all of these exercises. How come I'm not getting the results that I'm supposed to be getting? How come these muscles are not getting stronger? Why is my dog's body remaining unbalanced? How can I achieve more balance, more power in the hind end, in the front leg, or in the front leg end, or in the core, in the neck, in the turns? Why can't my dog turn properly in a left turn? Why doesn't he know where his body is? Why every time he hits the bridge in agility, his feet slide or he slows down a lot? Why isn't his balance really there? I can ask you the same. Why don't you have a plan? Do you have a plan? If you're asking all of these questions, your plan needs to be adjusted, or you need to get a plan, or you need to tweak it somewhat. Are you looking at your dog structure? Are you looking at his strengths and weaknesses? Are you addressing those particularly within your training regime? If you take any sporting person, and I've seen these, you get also these videos on social media about fitness and conditioning for humans, for football and for baseball, etc. And if you look at their whole regime of how to get their bodies fit for their sport, they're not doing the sport. They're not doing it at all. They're lifting their knees. They're doing these big high jumps on the field, back and forth over the line, running with their feet in and out of tires, etc. But they're not playing their sport more. They're preparing their body for the sport. So a boxer doesn't become a better boxer by boxing more. He goes to the gym. A martial artist doesn't become a better martial artist by doing more fights. He goes to the gym. He practices. He prepares his body. He does certain weight training and makes his body stronger, more agile, so that he can maneuver better when he's actually in the fight. It's the same with our dogs. So What are you training for? Do you have a plan for the sport that your dog is doing? That's really important to get across. So if you don't have an aim, if you don't have an aim, you don't have a goal. If you don't have a goal, you're not promoting your dog in any sport. You're just doing something. It's okay. We'll just do it like this. If you don't have a plan, you're going to go in there and you're going to be doing some exercises for fun. This is so dangerous, this for fun thing. If people go to the gym and they're going to go do things for fun, they're not really there, they don't really know what they're doing. It's the same with a dog. It's your biggest risk of injury time. So be careful of that for fun bit. Know a little bit about what you're doing before you put your dog on various pieces of equipment. A lot of your big peanuts and your wobble discs and everything, that is for some really advanced exercises. It's not for every dog. So watch what you're doing and how you're using that equipment. If you're doing things for a lot of fun, then many times you're not applying your mind properly to that consideration for injury, and is it promoting your sport? So just be careful of those for fun, random, let's go and try these things out. That's quite a thing that you have to consider. And then lastly, what are your goals? What you want to achieve? If you've got these things first, then you are at a starting point for your fitness and conditioning. So what are your goals? Do you want to get more balance with your dog? Do you want your dog to be able to turn faster and adjust his balance in the move? There's a wonderful program that I saw that this person is concentrating on keeping their dog balanced while they are moving. So that ability to turn on the fly and not just slip and fall, or if the ground is a little bit unsteady, how to recover quickly from those falls. Do you want to improve your dog's balance? Do you want to improve your dog's strength? If you're only doing balance training and no strength training, what is the use of having some balance, but if you trip, you don't have the strength to stop the fall first? So you need to have balance and strength training. Do you have control in the exercises that you're doing? Has your dog got enough flexibility? If you're only doing strength training, you're going to contract and restrict the muscles. They're going to become shorter. You have to do some flexibility training, not just passive, I'll stretch my dog's leg and everything will be fine. No, they must be able to put that muscle in a flexible state, or they have to stretch that muscle, but it must still be under tension. They must be able to hold that muscle in that stretched state. And that is a very dangerous state for a muscle to be. There must be a lot of control in the muscle if the dog is stretching that muscle and there's tension in that muscle at the same time. So you have to be very careful with regards to how you do these things so that you don't cause an injury. Or are you just wanting your dog to have better endurance and stamina? Like, for example, the search and rescue dogs. Oh my word. They have to use their nose and their brain. The focus element of that is unreal. So they have to use their brain and they have to work with their dog, go through all the things while maneuvering and negotiating rubble, tires, or whatever building or whatever search area or forest or felt that they have to go through, and maneuver their bodies through these things. So they have to have real good control over their bodies, and they have to understand what's going on while they're concentrating on what they're smelling and discerning what they are doing all the time. So that mental fatigue of that discernment and that smelling all the time, it takes a lot out of the dog. Has your dog got that physical and mental endurance and stamina to continue? So even if your dog is in hunting, the terrain, I know here in the Western Cape, the terrain is unreal. They can't just go through the bushes. They have to almost like jump around them, because our natural veld are really hardy bushes that the dogs can't just go through. And then they have to still go into water, etc., and get a water retrieve. So what are your goals? Or if it's not a sporting goal, is it that your dog is senior and you want to make them stronger? Do you want to get them a little bit more active? You have to remember that senior dogs, their joints are a little bit more stiffer. They're less flexible. How do you approach their training? If you've got a puppy, how do you approach the training for a puppy? Because you don't want to make the muscles stronger than what the bones are, because the bones are busy growing and becoming denser. Their growth plates haven't even closed. So you've got to take all of these things into consideration with regards to the exercise that you apply for your puppy. Are you looking at your sport dog, and by you just doing more and more sport, I promise you are creating imbalances in your dog's body and the muscles that they've got. Sport, a dedicated sport training all the time, just your sport training will create muscle imbalances. So are you doing some conditioning exercises to correct the imbalances that the sport causes? Do you know what muscles to target, how to target those muscles, and what to look for to make sure that they remain balanced? Because muscle imbalances are one of the biggest causes of injury out there. Are you looking at maybe your dog was injured and now is good to go, but you want to avoid those injury compensations when you are working your sport? How do you do that? How do you maintain all the rehab that you've done and keep your dog strong while he goes and trains in his sport? Those are important things that you need to think about when you enter into your conditioning and fitness exercises for your dog. A lot of people will say, oh, I go hiking with my dog. They're going to go and jump over the logs and they've got to maneuver trees. Yes, but it's not every day that they do it. If you go just look at an agility competition, how many jumps are there in that trial area with those tight things? It's not the odd log that they need to go over every time. If a dog is just jumping over the odd log as you go hike, it doesn't mean that they become an expert at jumping. So when you say, oh, but my dog goes swimming, swimming is really good for cardio, but it won't specifically strengthen particular muscles. It's not an all-rounder when it comes to dedicated sporting dogs. It's a cardio exercise. It's something that the dogs may enjoy, but it's not targeted strength exercises if your dog needs rear end strength. Some dogs swim like this, where the bottom is sinking and they paddle like you cannot believe with the front legs. Then you can say, well, we can put on a life vest, but then are they actually using a lot of their core? Each dog swims differently, and you would have to assess this for all of your dogs. So hiking and swimming is not always going to cut it for a dedicated sport dog. So when it comes to exercises, are they in line with what you want to achieve? What are your goals? So it's very important. As soon as you've got your goal, whether it be weight loss, general stamina, dedicated sport, I need to strengthen my dog, but you need to strengthen your dog with flexibility, and you need to strengthen your dog with balance. So you need a balanced program. You can't then just I'm going to just go and do some cross training for my dog. If you're going to be doing cross training, you need to have particular exercises to help with the imbalances that your sport training may be causing. So I'm hoping that you are going to think about these things when it comes to the exercises that you're doing with your dog. Are they in line with your goals and with what you want to achieve with your sport? This is really important. So even if I take, for example, I do IGP. So when I do exercises, I'm going to consider things like, say, for example, in the C phase, the protection phase, I need to make sure that my dog can sprint really fast. So he's got to be a fast sprinter. He must be able to do sharp turns. So I'm going to strengthen those muscles for sharp turns. He's got to do a 30-second hold and bark. He's got to pump in his lungs. He's got to bark. He's got to do that after running 600 meters. So he's got to have some major cardio to a degree, but that recovery of the oxygen going through the body so that he can bark again as soon as he's sprinted 600 meters. That I'm going to work on. He's got to work on the core so that he can pump at the helper. He's got to be able to sprint, launch at the helper, bite, and then he's got to be able to fight. So I'm going to concentrate on exercises where he can fight with his back legs on the ground and his core can hold and stabilize his top and bottom half of the body. All of these things I'm going to take into consideration when I look at the exercises that I'm going to do with my dog. So that when he goes and fights at helper, yes, he's strong enough to do it, and he's strong enough to really actually try and bring that helper down. All right, so when you're going to go do your exercises, please consider these things. So let's go and look at them again. Is it the right exercise for your dog? Are you looking at can he hold an exercise? Does it match his structure? Does it match his sport? Is your dog strong enough? Can he hold that exercise? Can he do it not once but 10 times in repetition? Can he control that exercise? That's really important. Does it actually benefit your dog? Are you looking at a weak area and are you making it stronger, or is it just an overall thing? Are you reducing the risk of injury, or are you increasing the risk of injury when you perform the exercise? Is the exercise random or planned? Do you have a plan? In order for you to have a plan, you need to know what your goals are. If you're going in without a plan, that risk of injury just skyrockets because, oh, well, we'll just do whatever we're doing today. And you haven't done a proper warm-up. You haven't thought about what you need to do. You haven't thought about, are you balancing your strength, your fitness, and your flexibility, and your cardio, and your balance? Are you balancing them all around in the week? And you'll do all of this when you know what your goal is. So that goal is your overriding decision. Once you have a goal, and you need to know what you need to include for your training, for your sport, for your dog, the dog that's in front of you, according to their structure, their shape, their fitness level, their age, etc., then you are on your way. So get yourself a goal and get yourself a plan. And then your exercises will come out much better for your dog. So if you enjoyed today's talk, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I'll look for you in the comments. If you have anything that you want to add or want to ask, you're most welcome to. I love asking questions. So you can answering questions. You can ask anybody that's in my membership. I welcome them always. So if you've got any questions, please send me an email. You can find me at thebiokinetick9.com. My website is thebiokinetick9.com. If you want to know anything about your sport and fitness things for your dogs, you are most welcome to ask. Riani, it is a pleasure. I'm going to see you guys just now. Got awesome questions that we're going to go through. So enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys next week, hopefully in my old surrounds again. This is like, it's a little bit too beige for me. All right, everybody, let me put my information here. And there we go. Let me put this away. And I'll see you guys next week. Everybody else, I'm going to see you guys just now. I've got some awesome questions we're going to go through. All right, everybody. Bye-bye now.